Hello, everybody. Welcome to this amazing episode. But before we move any further, let me start with this amazing hookup. First of all, people always say men don't cry, men don't feel depressed, men are strong, men should not be vulnerable. A lot of things that have been said about men. But something that is very unique is that this month, that is June, it is actually Men's Mental Health Month. So, what do I mean? I simply want to let you know that we have a whole month that is dedicated to men to make sure that we do more advocacy on men, to remind men that they are human once again. All right? Men do not cry. Men are strong. Men do not get defeated. Men do not get depressed. You're a man. You cannot cry. You're a man. You should not feel weak. Well, these are some of the things we hear every day on a daily basis. The average man has heard these phrases all their lives to an extent whereby by the time a boy reaches the age of 18, they already know that they should not cry. They should always feel strong. They should always stand out. They should actually leave no part or no face for weakness into their lives. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the reality remains that even as men continue to be men, before they became men, they were once human beings. This means that they have feelings, they have emotions, they can also be broken. They can also experience pain. They can experience disappointment. The only difference is that they express their disappointments very differently. That's why June is actually Men's Mental Health Month. Whenever we talk about mental health or whenever we have conversation around mental health, many people take it as something that men do not need it so much. If you look into statistics, as a psychologist who is practicing, you will notice that we have a lot of women who go for therapy, a lot of women seek for assistance, which is a very good thing. But normally, our statistics are very low when it comes to men. So we ask ourselves, where is the problem? It usually lies back to the nature of these two amazing genders that exist. That's why one of the most significant things that I appreciate as a person is I love appreciating the uniqueness that both genders hold. For example, there are things there are things that women can do so well, and there are things that men struggle doing. But also at the same time, there are things that men can do so easily, but women also struggle doing. This means that in our various genders, there are specific potentials and uniqueness that we hold. That's why today's conversation, let us start by debunking some of these false beliefs or some of these things that they tell. And I don't want you to forget one thing. This conversation is a product of very vulnerable conversations that I had with my male friends who have actually reached to a place, who have reached a position to realize that, hey, I know we are men, but we get tired, we get disappointed, we go through pain, and sometimes we feel broken, sometimes we are taken by some moods, it happens. So once we talk about the mental health of men, I want us to look into the reality versus the expectations of so many people. For most men, waking up every day does not feel like a normal day to wake up and see what happens next. Every day is actually waking up, getting things done, winning, and going back. So going back, not going back empty-handed, you go back with something. Because in most cases, even the word of God reminds us once again that who are men? Men are keepers, men are providers, men from history, from time past in history, men have always stood at the ages of creating change, of leading, of building civilizations, even as we have a lot of incredible contributions that have been done by amazing women. Today, we are only shadow lighting on the spotlight that men have done. So, what do I mean? Men have been told to be so performative instead of enjoying the moment. In the world of men, actually, they're thinking about how do I get this done and how do I get the other thing done. Very few men get time to sit back and even process what they think, what they want, or even ask for the opinion of other people. That's why these two genders are very different. For a man, sitting down to even cry can almost feel like a waste of time. In the modern world today, it's just amazing that many more men are embracing things like therapy, are embracing help. But now, if we talk about those Asian beliefs that have continuously been shaping men, whispering things to men, we talk about things like men get things done. Now, This phase is not good because for some men that I know, phases like this have actually made them so strong, has made them so confident, have made them to lead very incredible industries. But once again, we have to question these phases and think about, how about the humanity of a man? What happens when you don't get things done? What happens when you get defeated? What happens when you don't meet that deadline? What happens when you lose money? What happens when you get a heartbreak? What happens when you're disappointed? So mostly when we think of men, or in the world of men, most people think men are like Superman. Yes, men are like Superman. Yes, he's a man, but he's so super. That means, in fact, when you even disappoint a man, he should not get angry because he's the man. But that is not the reality. The reality stays and remains that much as they are men, being a man is simply a gender. It is not a replacement to being human. So this month of June, this episode is specially dedicated to the men, to remind you that it is okay to breathe, it is okay to take time, it is okay to rest, it is okay to restart, it is okay to cry for help. Ladies and gentlemen, statistics continue to skyrocket every day. We have increasing rates of men committing suicide every day. It's increasing every day. Actually, you should have asked yourself, why do we have a men's mental health month? Why is it only men's mental health month? It is for men because normally in our statistics, we have very, very few men who come for help, talk about medical centers, talk about even in family meetings. In fact, if you're very keen, you will notice that in most families, fathers take care of their daughters so much, but they don't always give ears, or they don't always have very, very good relationship with their sons. Why? Because they expect boys to figure out life. You figure out life on your own, you get things right for your own. When you fall down, you stand up on your own and you come later as a man. So these are some of the phrases and the beliefs that have been shaping our societies every day. That's why we need to redefine, we need to change how these beliefs and how all these contributions has led to a lot of breakdowns in our societies today, to an extent whereby when a man cries, people always see it like a taboo. In some societies, people actually use it to bully men. That's why most men actually don't even cry in front of people. That is absolutely okay. But this is just a reminder that men are human. Men go through pain. And the first thing that any man can do is to actually recognize that before you took up the position of being a man, you were first a human being. This means that anytime you feel broken, you feel hurt, you feel like you are in pain, you feel like you're disappointed, it doesn't mean you're not enough. It doesn't mean you're not competent. It simply means that things did not work out, and you need to simply extend grace to yourself. Extending grace to yourself means, number one, recognizing that you're human. Number two, recognizing the fact that maybe you need to readjust to get things better, or maybe you need to just change how you do things every day. All right. So one of the interesting scenarios that I think most of you are actually going to relate with me is that, if you look back into our childhood, when we have a baby girl and a baby boy. So for example, if the baby girl is playing and she falls down, people run, they actually tell her, oh, sorry. And in fact, the moment you tell her sorry, that's when she cries so well, because they are ready people to sympathize, to give them the support. But notice that for a baby boy, in fact, I remember one day I was in a space and there was a baby boy playing, and when the baby boy fell down, everybody kept quiet. And they were telling each other, don't look at him, don't look at him. We want him to stand up. And that's how that child stood up, collected himself, and continued playing. Now, tell me how that child who stood up on his own is likely to later call for help when he falls down in life, or when he's knocked down by different life circumstances. What do I mean? I'm simply trying to tell you that most of the way men are withdrawn, the way they don't even ask for help, the way we see a lot of suicidal cases rising among men, is because from childhood they're actually told nobody's there for you. You're here for yourself. You have to push life for yourself. You have to make it happen. Even if we don't know how you're going to do it, or how you're going to fix it, you need to fix up yourself. So in most cases, when a tragedy happens, the last person to actually sit down and feel the emotions is a man. Okay. The other example is that I want you to be very keen in burials. Whenever there is a burial, you find out it's women that put out their emotions. Very few men. Very few men openly embrace how they feel when they lose someone. That's why you notice that actually most men struggle with complicated grief. They lost somebody some time back. They didn't even get time to grieve that person because even during the burial, they were busy looking at, oh, what next can I do? Oh, what do I need to get done? Oh, let me support so and so, let me support so and so. But mostly for the man, nobody's there to support you. You're always the one getting things done. Another narrative that we also see increasing in our society today, and that is causing a lot of men to be crippled emotionally, even crippled intellectually. It has made a lot of men grow up with false self-esteem. I call it false self-esteem is because it is very performative. It doesn't come from a place of really feeling enough about yourself, but it comes from a place of, eh, I have to get this thing done because if I get it done, I know I'll have this and this, you know? That's why in most cases you find out that when a man has money, he's happy, he's okay. You know, he's all over spending, making everybody feel comfortable. But when a man does not have money, they always disappear from the social cycle. You know, they disappear, they are nowhere to be found. This is actually an evidence that for most men, their self-esteem, their joy is usually based on material things, is based on performance, on the things that they own. You know, that's why there is an increasing pressure. Men are actually on pressure. They are on the pressure to perform, the pressure to get things done, pressure to prove that they can, pressure to earn a living, pressure to not actually beg from anybody because naturally they know that as men, they are providers, they are supposed to get things done every day. The silence culture is actually choking a lot of men. Silence culture, what does it simply mean? It simply means struggling, knowing that you're struggling and you don't ask for help. You choose to keep quiet about it. You don't talk to anybody about it. You just keep quiet with your own problem. This has led to a lot of things, a lot of suicide cases. Most men are in depression. You might find out that an issue that would have just been solved by a conversation does not get solved. And it simply escalates to another sad tragedy, probably sometimes even death of someone or an action that causes a lot of negative consequences. So what am I saying? Another thing that men really need to do in this generation, because let me tell you something, much as the times are changing, men also need to start working and redefining their mental health. Working and redefining their mental health means taking back the power to overcome their daily challenges every day, because mental health is a personal responsibility. But even as gender continues to influence mental health, this episode is just a call to educate a man, to educate a woman outside there, to learn and understand that in most times everybody needs help. And that's why extending a hand of help, breaking the silence for most of these men can actually be something that will help us every day. You know, this means that we need to make sure that we make safe spaces. The men actually need to come up with initiatives to make safe spaces for themselves, to make sure that they can speak about their struggles, to make sure that they can actually lend an ear to each other and have that brotherly support on a daily basis. Some of them have gone into alcoholism. Some of them have gone into crime rates. You might find out that somebody who's actually, he has money. A lot of young men today, we see them very frustrated men. You know, I was actually so saddened because these days, whenever you open the news, you have one thing to worry about, another thing to be worried about, or another thing that will actually trigger you to worry about something. You open the news, and I'm speaking this, looking at the African statistics. You open this, you notice that there is influx of very, very hard narcotic drugs and all types of drugs almost in all African countries. And who are using these drugs? We're talking about young people, and young men continue to lead the statistics. It is almost impossible in some countries, in some communities, to find young men who are sober, you know. And let me tell you something, once you probe into all that, you notice that they don't smoke, they don't drink because they really want, but because they feel overwhelmed and they don't know how to let go of these life stresses. So most of them opt into drug and substance abuse as a way to get over it. Yeah. Another sad tragedy that I have also seen is the increased levels of abuse when we talk about the gender based violence. You know, it is so sad that as I speak to you now, there are so many men who are actually going through gender-based violence. It happens. Most people think it's only women that go through gender-based violence. No, the truth is that men also go through gender-based violence. There are men who are tortured. There are men who go through very difficult circumstances simply because they are men, simply because they exist. So what do I mean? Whenever we talk about creating a safe space for ourselves in this entire world, we're talking about creating a safe space for everybody, men, women, and children. Okay, everybody. That means that women should be safe and happy, men should be safe and happy, children should be safe and happy. We need to protect everyone. If women are happy and men are suffering, we cannot have a peaceful world. If men are happy and women are suffering, we cannot have a peaceful world. If men and women are happy and children are suffering, we can never have a peaceful world. This is simply a call that whenever we talk about the well-being of our world, we look at the holistic approach. We look at the affairs of men, we look at the affairs of women, and we also look at the affairs of children. So when it comes to gender-based violence, men also go through a lot of challenges. That's why if you're a social worker, if you're a psychologist, if you're a friend, if you're a daughter, if you're a wife outside there, you actually also have the responsibility to ensure that number one, you check out on the people around you. You look at the men around you. If you're outside there and you recognize the efforts, the incredible men around you, go ahead and check up on them. Sometimes it's just a call, sometimes it's just a message, sometimes it's just appreciating them. You don't have to wait until it's a graduation. You don't have to wait until it's a very, very big dinner. Sometimes all you need to do is to just show love in the little things that matter. Something like sending a text message, sending lunch, having a video call, those small things. Because let me tell you, the truth remains, men will not always tell you that they are struggling. But sometimes the act of kindness, that you simply do choose to do something out of the act of kindness. Or secondly, I also want to teach you and equip you to be very keen. Be very keen on behavior. Normally words can lie, but behaviors do not lie. That's why they always tell you that action speaks louder than words. What do I mean? Whenever you notice that you have any male figure around you who has from nowhere just gone very quiet, no longer socializes with people, they have withdrawn, or they have started using substances, or they have started engaging in very careless behavior outside, be it sexual, be it robbery, be it violence. Actually, one of the best things you can do is recognize the pattern. You actually recognize that there is something going wrong in the life of this person, and even if they are not saying it, but everything around them is already screaming the need for help. So like, we need to be each other's keepers. Men, be each other's keepers. Men should care for men, women should care for men, men should care for women, men and women should care for children. So most men have the wound of fatherhood. What is the wound of fatherhood? The wound of fatherhood, it means growing up, number one, with a missing father. You notice that your dad was absolutely not there. So maybe you were an orphan, you grew up without a father. Yes, or you grew up with a father who was there but he was not present. It can also happen. You can have a dad who is there, yes, he buys you food, but he's not present. This means you've not shared conversations with him. He didn't build you to become a man. Because the same way you can be talked into manhood. Once you get a man who has held your hands. Look at boys who grew up with their dads. You find out that they have a special relationship with their father. Their father was there for them, took them to school, played football with them, held their hands. Whenever this happens, you notice that a very healthy breed of a man comes up. Normally, they are very confident. But then the sad notion lies in the friction whereby you find out that a man does not have any man around him to hold his hand. Mostly the consequences are very dangerous. Some men grow to be very, very weak. What do I mean? You might actually find out that he is a man, but he does not have any masculine power or aura. Some of them might actually be having feminine power. Okay? What do I mean? I mean, for example, somebody can be a man, but even the things they do, how they think is not actually man enough. Normally, an absence of fatherhood can actually cause such in the lives of so many men. I'm simply trying to let you know that if you noticed that you don't have any male figure around you, look for mentors, look for a senior person, look for a pastor, look for a professional that you know When you walk with them, they can actually help you, they can hold your hands, they can teach you, they can nurture you. Because for the world of men, you literally need a mentor, you need a model, you need somebody who's going to assure you that, hey, my son, you can stand up, you can do 1, 2, 3, you can do 3, 4, 5, or you can do 5, 6, and 7. Sawa sawa. But then also men need to take initiative. I am actually amazed by the level of initiatives I see around for this month. I have seen men organizing boot camps, very significant initiatives. Much as men need to feel safe, they also need to feel safe in their own spaces. That's why we need to have male created spaces specially designed by men, for their own mental health. They go there, they talk about their struggles. That's why if you notice, men who have a brotherhood tag team, for example, 3, 4 friends, male friends who are CEOs, you find out that maybe once in a week or every day they meet, they talk about their struggles. Actually, these men are at a safer place mentally than most men who are isolated, who don't have anybody they can talk to, who are always quiet, who always go and cry behind the doors. You need a safe space. That's why once you see any activity, for example, a men's boot camp, a men's boot club, go ahead for it. Some of them even have hiking communities, some of them have running communities, then go ahead and do it. Because as a man, you don't need to thrive alone. You have brotherhood, you have mentorship, you can lean on all these other factors to make sure that you grow up into a very strong, solid, and supported person. And by the way, if you're outside there and you're a mother, for example, if you're a mother, you know you have a son, be very intentional about introducing your son to specific male figures that you know will guide him, will lead him, because their ego needs to be nurtured, they have to be protected, and they need to be guided into this entire journey of manhood. So please, if you're outside there as a man, this is a reminder that when it comes to mental health, we are not leaving you out. We recognize your humanity, we recognize your superpowers, we recognize your vulnerabilities, and at the same time, we recognize that something can be done in helping men grow stronger, become healthier every day, and even help you lead better. The truth is that as a man, once you are in a better place mentally, you can actually love better, you can provide better, you can protect better, and you can actually be very present. That's why we have families with fathers that are not connected with children. We have brothers who are not connected with their sisters. We have uncles who are not even connected to their nieces and their nephews. This is because everybody is carrying their own struggle. So, this is a reminder that as a man, once you embrace help, once you are fit, once you are healthy mentally, you will actually fulfill all your other duties with a lot and a lot of ease. So, welcome to 10 things or 10 myths or beliefs that they tell you about men that is actually not true. I know I'm going to surprise a lot of you, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Number one, they say men don't cry. It is not true. Men cry. But as a man, at least know where you're crying, know who you're crying in front of, and actually know why you're crying. Okay? Because for men, it is egocentric. So they just cannot cry in front of anyone. Secondly, what they always say, men don't get stressed is a lie. Even the man watching my video now, I know you're already stressed. Yeah. Number three, another thing they always they always tell about men. Men don't fall into depression. Is it true? It's not true. Men are human. They fall into depression. That's why they need help. That's why they need some form of kindness from their partners, from their family members. We need to create a safe space and a safe world for men. Number four, what do always people say? People say men don't commit suicide, men are strong. No, it's not true. In fact, our statistics are skyrocketing every day. We have seen a lot of men, we have lost a lot of men, which is a very sad reality, and we need to change this. That's why this podcast, it's actually a form of psycho education to you outside there, to make you feel remembered, valued, loved, and accepted. Number five, they always say men don't self-harm. It's not true. Men self-harm. Self-harm is simply taking an object and harming yourself, drinking something to hurt yourself. Okay? It always comes from a place of mental tiredness, mental fatigue. Men can reach that extent. Men can get tired, they can harm themselves. But then before you harm yourself, this is simply a call that even before you get that exhausted, you are human. Okay? So you won't always have it figured out every day. Number six, what did they say? Men don't commit suicide is a lie. You and I know there are a lot of men that the community, the country has lost on a daily basis. We lose men every day. That's why we need to break that myth. It is okay for men to embrace the emotions, the things that don't make them uncomfortable, to talk about it in therapy, to get safe spaces for them created by men, and for men to ensure that we reduce and we cut all that, right? Number 7 of the lies they talk about men. They always tell you men don't get tired. No, men do get tired. Men do get tired. And that's why it's good to ask for help. When you are tired as a man, learn to ask for help from your fellow brothers or even from your place of work, right? Number 8, what did they say? Men don't rest. As a man, you have to work every day. You should not rest. No, men rest. Men go for vacation. Okay, men rest, men go for vacation, men have fun, men swim, men do fun activities to make them feel alive every day. Number 9, they say men don't feel pain. Men are not emotional is a lie. Men are emotional. Once they go through breakup, once they lose a loved one, they feel those emotions. But then it's not even about feeling those emotions. It's about accepting and acknowledging and expressing these emotions and not bottling it up into their chest every day. So it's actually a lie. If you're a man outside there, these are the things you need to overcome. You can become whole. You can become wholesome. And then the final one, that is number 10, false things that they tell us about men is that men don't apologize. Is a lie. Men apologize. And as a matter of fact, men apologize, men lead, and men restructure societies on a daily basis. So, in conclusion, what am I saying? I'm simply saying that I have seen men make the world a better space for women, for children, for the world, and I have seen women make a better, make the world a better place for all other people outside there. Okay, so in conclusion, I have seen the effect, I have seen the consequences when men are silenced, when men go silent, when they don't speak about their struggles, when they simply think it's okay for them to not ask for help, it's okay for them to feel all the emotions, to even not ask or even cry for any form of assistance. I have seen the consequences. It has shattered families, it has broken communities. That's why it is a call for you and I outside there in this month and going on forward to recognize that men are human. And if you're a man and you're watching this episode, I just want to remind you that you're trying, you're working hard, and I want you to recognize the effort of the things that you do every day, and you'll definitely reach where you want to go. Thank you.